Welcome to the Disrupted Podcast, where we analyze and discuss technology that's changing the world as we know it. I'm your host, Chris Ebe, and today with me is my co-host, Robert Smoot. I'm really excited for today's topic. We're going to talk about Tesla. Tesla, to be more specific, Tesla Full Self-Driving, FSD. So, hey, man, Robert, glad to have you here. In your own words, what would you say FSD is?
Oh man, full self-driving is basically having a computer drive your vehicle, basically do all of your lane tracing from point A to point B. As simple as that. That's what full self-driving is.
Really that simple?
It's that simple. It is really that simple. How
Nice.
well can the computer use the steering wheel to follow a line? That's it.
Wow, I like how you simplified it there. So why is FSD so important? Why is it important?
Well, I'm really trying to tone it down a bit. But full self-driving is really important because this is something that will potentially revolutionize the way we think of travel, the way we think of shipping, or just transportation in general. Meaning, people have been working on cracking the code of driving for the last 20, maybe even 30 years to have a computer do it for you.
Mhm.
So originally, people have been using the brute force method.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't say that word. Oh,
that's a
shoot, I'm
that's
so
a
sorry.
that's a tongue twister.
Yeah,
But I know what you're talking about, the brute
yeah,
force method.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so the brute force method. So they've been trying to use that method to have the vehicle track, where they need to go in the road. It wasn't until around 2012 where they introduced something called machine learning, where they can have a machine go through and label different parts of the road so that they can correctly navigate. And what do I mean by machine learning? Well, if you send a list of pictures, the system will need to identify what those pictures are. And so the traditional way is, hey, if I give a computer a cat, would it be able to decipher this cat from another picture of a dog? Right.
Mhm.
And so as time goes on, the more pictures of cats this computer receives, the better it is at identifying a cat.
Yep.
And
Yep.
full self-driving is now at the cusp of mastering what a cat is, or being able to correctly identify what it needs to see and apply those corrections to steering inputs.
Mhm.
And once you do that, it's more of a data problem to where you
Mhm.
just need more information so the computer can understand certain edge cases.
Mhm.
And once that's figured out, transportation as we know it will change, because there's no longer the case of, oh, I'm just going to, take a road trip from Cincinnati to Atlanta. Now it's, I'm going to wait until it's bedtime, get in the car, go to sleep, and wake up in Atlanta, right?
Wow.
When you can
Wow.
do that, think of all the other things you can do. So now, if you want cookies at 2 in the morning, you can have a vehicle bring you cookies automated, right? There's no driver, so you don't have to worry about the cost of a driver. You don't have to worry about the restaurant sending it off at the wrong time or sending it to the wrong address, because your information is in the system and you can get it almost instantly. I mean, you can just go from there as far as what the beneficial parts of having autonomous vehicles are.
True. True. I really like how you painted us a picture of what that kind of looks like. And that sounds so beneficial. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities. If you can go to bed in one city today, wake up in the next city, it's just we're just gonna be so much more connected than we ever were. And what I like about FSD is once you take the control away from us as humans, okay, and leave it totally to the machine, okay, it's gonna make driving more safe, more safe. a lot safer than it is right now. Because if you look at it in the S&P 500, I believe 1/3 of the companies in there are just insurance companies. Okay. Okay. I feel, in my opinion, insurance is the biggest scam in the history of businesses, and it's legal. Okay. My whole life, I pay about, if I want to pay liability, just limited insurance for car insurance, I pay about $80. If I want to pay full coverage, because I drive a Ford Mustang currently, but that's going to change to Tesla soon. But yeah, I drive a Ford Mustang right now. Okay. If I want to pay full coverage, it's about $200. Okay. Just imagine if I have full coverage, I'm paying it for the rest of my life. Say an 18-year-old gets a Ford Mustang, he's paying about $200 for full coverage. Say he upgrades his car often, right? And he pays that off for the rest of his life, but he never has one accident. You know how much he would have paid by the time he's 65? He's probably paid enough to buy
200 times 12 times 60.
Exactly. That's probably
Well,
enough to buy a few new cars, man.
Right.
You see, that's a lot of money. Okay. Just gone to the insurance company. Again, don't get me wrong. Insurance is a good business. Okay. There's the edge cases where you do run into a situation where you need to file a claim. Okay. Although they make it hard to file a claim, but when you do, I mean, most times they do come through and they take care of you. Okay. But all that money just goes to insurance. So I like how FSD is not just disrupting the auto industry, it's not just disrupting the travel industry, it's also disrupting the insurance industry, because the cost of insurance is gonna go so low that it's almost inconsiderate. It just, you don't even care about it anymore. It's gonna drive the cost of travel so much lower that now people are just gonna be so incentivized to just travel. I like the example you gave of going to sleep one night in Florida and waking up in Atlanta.
Whoa.
You know, that picture, that picture is just so nice. And really, I can't wait for a future like this. So how far do you think this future is from us? When do you think I can go to sleep in Florida and wake up in Atlanta?
Well, by the end of this year.
You sound like Elon Musk right now.
No, right? Yeah, it'll be a month from now. You said that a month ago. One more month. No, it's really tough to tell when this is going to occur.
Mhm.
However, I think it will be sooner than people expect. And yeah, this is tough. This is tough. So as far as when it's going to be released to the public, the interview that we've seen from the person who was actually designing full self-driving, or the full self-driving chip, said that we no longer have an issue with the software. The only thing we need to do now is collect data and run that data in the system to learn.
Yep.
And that's where we're at. So how long does it take to collect billions of miles of driving? I think once we get that number, we'll be able to figure out when this will be released. But I think that yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we were all having full self-driving vehicles by the end of the year, and maybe in a restricted form, like in some cities. But I think this is something that's coming, and it's not an issue where it kind of works. It's going to be a transition to where, okay, it doesn't work, and then all of a sudden now it works. So it's like from a 0 to a 1.
Yep.
And once that happens, the world as we know it will basically change
Forever. Yeah. So I like how you said it's gonna be kind of a quick well, not quick. It doesn't work.
Fast.
Yeah, it's gonna come quick. Yeah.
Yep. As soon as this happens, we're going to see businesses start.
Yep.
People say, hey, I want to have a autonomous Cybertruck that only makes donuts, and it's just going to drive around making donuts. You'll come to it and you'll use your transaction using cryptocurrency, right? Or you can purchase donuts autonomously. There's going to be freight who wants to ship goods from one part of the city to another, or from one part of the country to another. As soon as it's autonomous, they're putting in orders. Like once that switch is flipped, there's no going back. It's like turning on the internet for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as when, I can't put a date on it because I'm not in the lab writing code for full self-driving.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that this isn't something that they're just going to give up on, right? So
Yep.
if they're going to run into issues, they're not going to just pack their bags and go home.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to put their head down, grind until it's right, until it's at a point where it can be released. And once it gets released, it's
It's
the
over.
world as we know it is
It's
changing.
over.
Like, and this is really difficult to think about because this isn't an iPhone that's being released to the public, right?
Mm.
Apple releases iPhone. It's the greatest thing we've seen for a while because the creator of iPhone understood that their, I guess I want to say first fundamentals. This is not just a phone. It's an alarm clock, calculator, calendar, all of those things in one location.
Yep.
That's why it was so revolutionary. And on top of that, it was a beautiful product.
Was so beautiful.
Yes. Well, this is not an iPhone. This is a vehicle that will solve the problem of transportation. And that's going to be, it's I get choked up talking about it, but it's going to change some things, and you wouldn't be able to understand how much the world would change if you think about it right now. But when you're in it, you say, "Oh, yeah, this makes sense." So that's how I feel about full self-driving.
Completely agree with you. Completely on the same page as you are. It's gonna open so much more avenues. We're gonna open so much more businesses that are gonna be built around it. I like the example you gave of how Apple pretty much changed how we consume software with just the iPhone. Okay, this is not just a phone; it's an internet browser. It's a whole bunch of other things, and not only that, it's also some form of jewelry. It's a status symbol. Okay, right? That's what Apple did with the phone. Tesla is doing the exact same thing, but with a car.
Right.
I think this is much bigger than the iPhone, in my opinion. Okay. Okay. Just the concept of being able to go fall asleep in one city and waking up in the next city. Just the
Right.
concept of being able to say, hey, right now my car is a liability. Okay. I go to work 9 to 5. Guess what my car is doing? Sitting in the parking lot doing nothing, collecting dust. Okay. I come back home after work, turn on the TV. Guess what my car is doing? Sitting in the garage collecting dust. You use your car mostly what? 5% of the time, 10% maybe, if you drive a lot.
If that, yeah.
Exactly. The other what 90% is just sitting there. Tesla has changed this. Tesla is gonna change this. Okay. Now I could come home, relax, go open up my Tesla app, push the go make me button, go make me some money button on there. It goes out the door, makes me a whole bunch of money, comes back home, charges. I wake up the next morning, get ready for work. Maybe I didn't get enough sleep at night. So I can fall asleep in my Tesla. Maybe I live in Miami and I work at maybe 5 hours away, fall asleep in my car, wake up at work, go into work, get on my Tesla app, go make me button, go make me some money button, push that again, goes out, make me some more money. I saw this analysis where it said with your Tesla charging about 8 hours a day, well, 6 to 8 hours a day, resting and charging, and you go just a regular guy, 9 to 5 job, sleep 8 hours, charge your Tesla 6 to 8 hours. Obviously it's gonna charge much faster, right? I'm just assuming some downtime where it's just chilling and doing not much. You could make anywhere from 30 to 60K a year of having a full self-driving Tesla. That is a new, just imagine the guy who has a regular 9 to 5, right? That's a new side hustle where you're probably making more than you are at your 9 to 5 by just having a Tesla. And speaking of having a Tesla, didn't you just order the Cybertruck recently?
Who told you that?
The grapevine. The grapevine. So yeah, I'm actually gonna order one pretty soon. And as soon as I order it, I order this full self-driving. I think it's about $10,000, 10 grand. I order that exactly. As soon as I get it, 2022, the day I get it, I'm pushing to go make me money. I'm doing that right there. Go out there, make me some money. I'm gonna chill. It's just so beautiful. When I think about it, it's a beautiful future to look forward to. And I feel like anyone who's against that kind of future, I don't know what to say about you. I don't know what to say about them. Because full self-driving is, at this point, I feel like it's not just a luxury. It's not just a nice to have feature. It's necessary. Okay. Because it's gonna improve our productivity. Okay. Because guess what? You can be getting work done while going home. You can be getting work done while going on a trip. So it just opens so much avenue for Tesla as a company and for the economy as a whole. And also, if you look into, like, now, the other day I was looking at a picture of Tesla's infotainment system in a full self-driving car.
Right.
Now you can
Which
watch
model
Netflix.
are you looking at?
Man, that's a good question. I want to say it was the Model Y, but I might be wrong. I want to say it was just a picture of the interior, just the infotainment system, or maybe it's the Model 3. But again, I'm not sure exactly which one it was, but it just looked so beautiful. It had this picture of, I don't know if you watched the Netflix series The Witcher. So that was kind of like the background of the
So
picture.
that was probably an S or an X.
That's an S. Okay, yeah, that's probably what it was. So it just had me thinking about this future, this full self-driving future, where you can just relax, watch some Netflix, play some video games while your car takes you wherever you need to be. So now you don't have to work and live in the same city. Like you said, you can work in this city, live in that city, take a nap while you're going to work, take a nap while you're going back home. And again, I'm just so in love with the fact that it's just going to be so much more safer. I was watching an interview with Elon the other day, and he said, now it's just a match of nines. They need to get it to the point where it's 99.9999999. How many nines do they want to make it safe? You know. So speaking about safety of FSD, what would you say worries you about this future of FSD, and also what would you say is a competition to Tesla taking us to this future of full self-driving?
What worries me about full self-driving
Mhm.
is when it's implemented. Like, we don't really know when it's going to come. However, we do know that it is.
It is coming. Yep.
Yeah, that's the biggest worry for me. As far as the accidents that could potentially happen due to the unit driving autonomously, I'm not too concerned.
Mhm.
And here's why. No matter what you do, there's going to be accidents that occur. I don't care if it's perfectly autonomous. There are going to be areas where the system can't handle and it will cause an accident.
Mhm.
I don't want anyone to say that it will be perfect and it will never crash. It's not true. However, I will say that the crash rate for these full self-driving vehicles will be significantly less than those of vehicles that are driving by people.
True. True.
Computer or autonomous vehicles don't drink alcohol. Autonomous vehicles don't sleep.
Yep.
They don't look at their cell phone, and they don't do reckless things.
They don't text and drive.
Cell phone, text, and drive. You're not going to catch an autonomous vehicle going 120 miles an hour down the interstate, right? It's not going to happen. So that's the safety aspect about it. Now, another person would argue that the system, because it's a computer, I use my cell phone, my Windows PC, it crashes all the time. And so this is going to glitch in the middle of the intersection and start doing donuts and run into a pole. I can't say that won't happen. However, I will say that if you have that thinking where your laptop is developed the same manner a full self-driving chip is developed, you're misinformed. Same with your cell phone. The reason why I feel like the autonomous vehicle will be safer than a standard PC is because, and this is where we're getting into your expertise, when you're developing the hardware and the software simultaneously, meaning the hardware guy and the software guy are in the same room rubbing elbows, this system is going to be efficient in a way that a cell phone or a PC simply cannot be. So there will be significantly less crashes. It will be significantly more efficient. and it will run at a I guess a longer rate before it needs to do a reset.
I
So
agree.
and if anyone is looking for some sort of competition, you always want to go back and check and see, okay, well, what are you using for your chip? Okay, you have a company who's making your chips, but you didn't design it. And then you're going to have another company that's helping you design the software, and you're going to put that together. You may run into problems when it comes to it's foggy, but it's
Mm-hmm.
hot and the chip overheats. You might run into problems there. Whereas a system that was designed brick by brick with the hardware and the software working hand in hand, it's going to be tough to compete against someone who does that. And I guess the next part for competition is, well, what about the companies that use another system called LiDAR, or they use lasers? That works only if you've mapped out the entire geofenced area, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
want to expand beyond that, you have to take the time to map all that information. Now, guess what? If you're trying to turn right and you're setting up the code for the system to turn right, but there's a no turn on red sign, LiDARs can't read that. So you need to have cameras.
True.
Well, if you solve the issue with cameras, you don't need LiDAR. And so you can dig into that a bit further to see the advantages that Tesla's using. And it, because they're using cameras only, they're able to make this system operate at a lower cost. It's going to take longer. So right now, if you look at other systems that has LiDAR, you say, oh, well, it can't operate in the same way that this other company who's using LiDAR is not able to do so. But as Tesla gets more data, a switch is going to flip and all of a sudden it can. And now
Mm-hmm.
LiDAR has reached its limit. I believe that really isn't much in the way of competition. The only competition that Tesla has for releasing the full self-driving is their ability to obtain that data. And I don't
I
know
agree.
what is competing with them for that.
I agree. I agree. Tesla, what has been collecting data since like what 2013? You did the math now. That's what 8 years, 8 years, 9 years,
Yeah.
something like that.
I believe it. I believe they didn't really start collecting data, like
Mm-hmm.
good data, until the Model 3 was released. But and I could be wrong. I could be wrong because I was under the impression that it didn't have the right hardware.
Mm-hmm.
But camera data is camera data. So if
True.
they pull
True.
into that, I'm sure that they're using it. So
True. 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 So yeah, I agree. I feel like Tesla's biggest competitor is Tesla.
yeah,
Okay.
no, right, right.
Yeah, I feel like Tesla is the only one who can get in Tesla's way. Okay, because right now, you look at China, right? Okay, Apple is not in China, right? Well, it is, but I believe the biggest phone maker there is Huawei, much bigger um product market back in China, there in China than Apple is. Okay, even though Apple is the biggest in the world. Okay, Tesla has a huge presence in China. They have a gigafactory there. Okay, so I just feel like the fact that Tesla has been able to capture China, and China is one of, if not the most, the biggest country pushing for sustainable energy, pushing for electric cars. That is just going to drive Tesla as a company forward. And like I said, like we talked about earlier, we're at the point where FSD is not a luxury, it's a necessity. We have to have FSD. And once all these cars are rolled out with FSD, having a regular car is going to be like riding a horse. Okay. I mean, yeah, people still ride horses, right? For leisure, right? I have a friend who has a horse. He rides it on Saturdays, just goes in the park, Yeah. So, but driving a regular car is going to be like driving a horse 5 to 10 years from now, is what I picture. And I feel like FSD is gonna sneak up on us. We know they're working on it. We know they're very close. If not there already. We know there's the only obstacle now is good data, and actually training the machine correctly, and also regulations. Okay. So as far as regulations, how do you think that's an obstacle to Tesla?
I don't believe that regulations will be a large obstacle. Now, I think the larger obstacle will be lobbyists
Lobbyists.
who don't want to have a full self-driving vehicle in their city,
Mm-hmm.
but that isn't because they feel that it's less safe. And the reason why I say that is because you have a system with 8 cameras
Mm-hmm.
and a software that's continuously running, and it's putting in mile after mile after mile.
Mm-hmm.
And they can operate this vehicle, let's say 3 million miles. What do they have now? They got 1 million cars out on the roads today.
Yep.
What is
About.
it? 1 million, 1.5 million.
Yeah, something like that, I believe.
By the end of this year, it'll be 2.5 million. So with that many vehicles accumulating that many miles, they can go to the regulators and say, hey, we've driven 1 billion miles in these last 4 weeks. No accidents. Humans have driven 1 billion miles in this amount of time, and we've got all these accidents. Can we pass this regulation to make it so where we can have full autonomy or autonomous vehicles out? They say no. All right, we'll come back a month later. We've gone 3 billion miles now. Because remember, as they're producing more cars, they're getting more data. And
Yep.
so it's not next month I'll have 1 billion. No, next month I'll have 2, maybe 3 billion.
Exponential growth.
Look, okay. So, and it's more, so now they'll send this data to regulators and say, hey, we've gone 3 billion miles. We've had 10 accidents,
Mm-hmm.
no deaths, or 1 death, or whatever the fatality rate is. As long as they keep coming in significantly lower than what humans can do, the people will begin to demand it, because all it's going to take is for someone to lose their 16-year-old child who just got their license, and they didn't read the situation correctly, or they were minding their own business and something happened. It's going to take that, and someone is going to make an outcry, and they're going to push the right buttons and get it done. Like, it's, as long as you have the data,
Mm-hmm.
regulations will follow.
I agree. Data. So as a quote, well, it's a quote I like to say. Men lie, women lie, but data don't. Data never lies. Like you said, once Tesla has the data saying, hey, we've drove X amount of miles, no crashes.
Mhm.
Same period of time, humans drove X amount of miles,
Right.
100 crashes. Mic drop. You just drop the mic right there. That's all they gotta say.
You can bring a bag of mics to the regulator just every month. Just drop mics. Like, look, it's working.
Mm-hmm.
Because the system, not only does the system not get tired, but the system, I don't know what its refresh rate is. You may be able to touch on that, but it analyzes its network or its environment, I'm sure, thousands of times faster than what humans can do.
Oh yeah.
So it's simple as identifying an object, identifying its trajectory, and making the correct decision from there. So if it feels that something is going to reach over or encroach into its lane, it will make the appropriate decision.
I totally agree. Yeah. It's like, so how I like to picture, like, humans driving, we taking inputs through our eyes, right? I mean, yeah, we have ears so we can hear other people honking and driving beside us, but mostly we're just looking at road. Just vision is what we rely on mostly for driving. And if you want to get it a little bit technical, but not too technical, so humans we see in 3 dimensions, obviously, right? So let me start from the basics. 1 dimension is just a single axis with a point on it. That's 1 dimension, right? 2 dimensions is 2 axes, the X and the Y, with a line. Okay, 2 points connected by a line, a straight line, a curved line, it doesn't matter. 3 dimensions, it's an X, a Y, and a Z, okay, with a surface in 3 dimensions. But now once you start going outside of 3 dimensions, the human mind is incapable of picturing that. We can't picture 3. So meaning we can only take in 2 inputs, an X and a Y, and give an output, a Z output. In the real world, everything is 3D. But however, AI can go to a 4th dimension, a 5th, a 6th, a 7th, a 8th, 100 dimension if they need to, because it's a computer. They don't think like we do, which gives them a much better level of accuracy than we could ever achieve by ourselves. So which is why, like we say, FSD is not a luxury, it's a necessity. We have to, it's the next step in the evolution of travel, in the evolution of the auto industry, in the evolution of cars. We need to have FSD. And like you said, once they bring the data, we are going to push for it and it's going to happen. It's not just left to Elon. How soon can you execute? Because Elon always executes. Okay. He's usually wrong about timing. He says, hey, we're going to have it by June, but then we might have it next year, June. But he always delivers. It doesn't matter.
Not
Say
which
what?
Christmas. He
Say
didn't
what
say
now?
which Christmas. He said Christmas, but he didn't say which Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So you can count on him to always execute. So he says, I watched an interview of him with a guy called, I believe, Sandy Monroe. I think that's how you say his name.
That's the guy.
I think,
Sandy
yeah.
Monroe.
Okay, yeah. So I think he worked for Ford for a while, and he just had so many good things to say about Tesla and about the full self-driving.
So do you know who Sandy Monroe is?
No, not really.
Okay.
No.
Well, we can touch on it, but he basically is a consultant for automotive manufacturers.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So companies would pay him
Mm-hmm.
to break down their competitors' vehicles,
Mm-hmm.
and Sandy Monroe would tell those companies what their competitors are doing so they can either move ahead or catch up.
I got you.
Yeah, so Sandy Monroe, when he says good things about a company, it's real. Like it's not, what do you call it? There's no fluff. If he likes it, he'll let you know. If he doesn't like it, he'll let you know. And when the Model 3 first came, he didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he wouldn't recommend it. But as he started to peel back the layers and he saw that, okay, this is the technology in this vehicle is really great. And thinking about it, I don't know how much you know about Corvettes, but I feel like Corvettes and Teslas are the same. And like, hear me out.
Aren't Corvettes dangerous?
Yeah. Sorry, what?
Corvettes, aren't they dangerous?
Yeah, they are dangerous. Yeah. So, and this is what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
When you buy a Chevy Corvette, you're not buying a Corvette because it has a luxurious interior.
You're buying it because you hit midlife crisis.
You're going bald. Yeah, you're buying it because you understand that this vehicle is the very best performing vehicle you can buy for the money. You're not going to find anything that's faster around the racetrack for that dollar amount. You're not going to find anything that handles better than this Corvette for that dollar amount. And so why is Tesla the same? When you buy a Tesla, you're buying a Tesla for its technology.
Yeah. Yep.
There's going to be build quality issues at first. Don't trip over that, or don't let that be something that gets in the way of Tesla moving forward towards their mission. If you were to take the technology that Tesla has and put it into a vehicle with perfect build quality, people would not be able to afford it.
True.
And what is their mission? To accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. People can't afford it. People can't buy it. So they continue to buy gas guzzling vehicles. And it's like a 3-point triangle. You have to pick one. Something's going to have to get left out. And for now, build quality is left out. I would say that is a huge negative connotation for Tesla, or it's a negative aspect that people are first to point at, where it's like, hold on, this is their mission. This is what they're trying to do. They can't be perfect. And so if you just look back over time, or if you take a step back and you look at how this company is performing over time, you understand that they're working towards a certain goal and some things get missed. Now, if you can't agree with that, if you need something that has perfect build quality, there are other vehicles available. And like Elon said, eventually everyone will have full self-driving.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for you to say, oh, I need to go ahead and get a gas guzzling vehicle. I'm not saying you only have to buy Tesla because they're going to be the only ones that has full self-driving. I am under the belief that they will be the first for a while. And that's how I feel about Tesla and their full self-driving. So,
I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. Tesla is leading the way. They're what's the word now? Trailblazing, trailblazer.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So that's the word. They're definitely leading the way when it comes to FSD. But I feel what doesn't get as much credit, slightly related to FSD, is the fact that Tesla's supercharging network. Okay. That doesn't Tesla as a company doesn't get as much credit for that. Again, now drifting off FSD a little bit. You see, I've never seen an automaker who also owns the gas stations or who owns 1% of the gas stations out there, or 10% or 5%. However, Tesla right now owns most of it, owns a lot of the charging stations out there. And I feel that is a huge money maker for Tesla in the future. Just imagine when for GM, they've all agreed to completely transition to fully electric by what 2030, what 9 years from now. Just imagine when all this OEMs, all these automakers have fully transitioned to electric, and now Tesla maybe grabs a 5% market share of the supercharger stations. Just imagine what that revenue can be like. Just that it's just so incredible. I feel like there's no angle I can think from where Tesla isn't going to be the most valuable company in 5 years. There's none. I can't think of one. But in your opinion, is FSD the X factor that takes Tesla to the number one company in the world? Or do you think they can do it without FSD?
I don't believe they can do it without full self-driving as quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Without full self-driving, they will still build the most efficient EVs at the lowest cost.
Mm-hmm.
The competitors won't be able to keep up with their manufacturing ability. And so, with that being said, without full self-driving, I don't believe that they will be significantly larger than any other company in the world in the next 3 years.
Mm.
Now, 3 years from now is a long time when you
It's a long time. It is.
Data.
Yep.
Right? Full self-driving was released in October, their beta version.
Mm-hmm.
October 2020.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's about right.
I watched a couple videos. And their progress it's unprecedented. I haven't seen any other company using their autonomous system grow at a rate that Tesla has grown.
Yep.
At this point, now we're just waiting for them to release it to the system, to have us download that button.
Mm-hmm.
That's a future that I'm really excited for. A lot of people are they have a mentality where they're pessimistic or optimistic. If you're pessimistic, that's your belief, and if that works for you, great. But then you have people who are optimistic, and that's their belief, and they continue to do their research to verify their long-term beliefs. Usually, I found that pessimistic people who view Tesla in a negative light are only looking at their short-term missteps. And
True.
Tesla is a company that has a lot of short-term missteps. However, if you step back and look at their goal, you'll see that they're moving towards that goal.
I agree. Like we said earlier, Elon might be late on time, but he always delivers. Tesla has always delivered, and Tesla is going to continue to deliver, and that includes FSD. I really can't wait for a future where I could go in my car, take a nap in Florida, and wake up in Atlanta. That is just so magical.
And
so,
so think of all of the other applications. Who's to say that we can't have an RV that's fully autonomous?
True. That's the Cybertruck.
So now, of you going to sleep, you and your family can hop in, travel across the country, wake up in a completely different part of the country, right? It's the possibilities are are almost endless.
They are.
And if you think of it as a shipping problem resolved, once that shipping problem gets resolved, the cost of milk actually drops, because now you're no longer paying drivers, or you're no longer paying for that infrastructure to send milk to the grocery store. That can be done autonomously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. I think this is revolutionary, and this is one of the things where we just have to sit back, let those guys do their thing, and enjoy the show, enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the show.
So,
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So how I know Elon is changing the world as we know it. Tesla, the engineers over there are working so hard to make this world a better place. And to be honest, to anyone who's against the transition to sustainable energy, I think something's wrong with you. I think you gotta go see the doctor, go see the psychiatrist, and get yourself checked out. But yeah, but how do we position ourselves to benefit from this future? Because we know it's inevitable, it's coming. Okay, we don't know exactly when, but we do know it's coming. How do we set ourselves up for success financially in this future?
so we had a video earlier this week about Bitcoin.
Yep.
That's a way to store your wealth. I'm not saying take all your money and put it into Bitcoin, but it, it would be irresponsible to not put a certain percentage of your wealth into Bitcoin.
Yep.
And I would argue that if you do the same, or I would argue that if you don't put another portion of your wealth into Tesla, that is also irresponsible, solely because of what their plan is. Now, once you've got your net worth set up in Bitcoin and Tesla, that's where you can go ahead and decide what you believe in and invest in that direction. But one thing you want to do is take a moment to think about how full self-driving would affect the things that you believe in. Like if you're a Netflix guy, if you love Netflix, if you love how Disney is releasing new shows, well, their full self-driving system allows you to watch Netflix. It allows you to watch Disney. It allows you to watch Amazon Prime as you're driving from place to place. So having a full self-driving vehicle will in turn allow more subscriptions to occur for Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus, all the other wireless streaming platforms. Okay. Another thing you want to keep in mind is this isn't the day, I guess this isn't the world of yesterday.
It's not.
Where the largest company is the United States, and then there's everybody else. There's going to be countries in the continent of Africa that are just exploding as far as growth goes. They're going to have infrastructure set up where they need to transport the goods and services. Why can't they do that autonomously? Same with different parts of the country. So now, I'm sorry, different parts of the world. So now what you want to do is think about how full self-driving is going to change the world as we know it, and how you can apply that change to what you believe in. I think if you do that, you'll be fine. You'll be all right.
I like that. Yep, I like that. So there's a example I like to give. People don't really think about this, but I think full self-driving is actually gonna reduce the amount of crime. And here's how. Okay, here's how. Okay,
all right, okay.
I could go out right now, okay, with a knife, a gun, or a baseball bat. Stand in the road, wait for a car, stop them, jack the car, okay, drive off. That's what grand theft auto. That's auto theft, right? Right. That's a crime. Do a bunch of stuff with that. Guess what happens with full self-driving? I go there. I try to jack it. The car doesn't open. The door stays shut. The car keeps going. Or now I feel like it forces the criminals now. You need to be like a guy with a master's in like computer science to hack into the network just to jack a car.
Yeah. And on top of that, say you find some guy in his horse and buggy, and you try to jack that. Well, as as he's stealing this old vehicle,
Uh-huh.
4 or 5 self-driving cars go by. And what are all around self-driving cars?
Cameras. Cameras.
Everywhere.
Yep.
So yeah, I agree that crime will be a lot more difficult,
It will be.
but it will affect people's privacy. That's the
True.
downside to it. And now,
True.
yeah, our privacy is at stake at that point.
That is a good point.
An issue with that, and so that we'll leave that up to the lawyers to decide whether or not that information is usable. But yeah, also another thing that I like, this is another rabbit hole, but do you know why the last like 2 wars started?
No, why? Why was
Like,
that?
well, I don't. And this is just my guess here. It's always been over in conflict areas, and it's always been over oil, right? Or oil has had something to do with it.
That is true. That is true.
We don't really need that anymore if we're using.
That is true. That is true. That is so true. Yeah.
That means there's no more wars. I'm sure that we'll come up with reasons to
fight
someone else. But
that is so true.
But now you have, okay, so we're no longer tied to oil. We no longer have a reason to go over and shut stuff down so we can get access to those pipelines. But trade will no longer be done, or trade for oil will no longer be done in US dollars. How does that impact our system? So does the US dollar no longer become important? Because now, and the only way to buy oil is to convert it to US dollars, and then you can buy the oil and you use the oil, and if you want to sell it, you convert it to US dollars, then you can convert it to whatever. But if we no longer care about oil, our currency really isn't the communication line for oil. Does that weaken it at that point? Like, these are questions that I need to go and get answers to. I was just thinking about it because when you said crime, okay, so crime, war, oil, what's next?
That is so true. That is, being from Nigeria myself, and Nigeria's biggest resource is oil. And you can imagine how much problems oil has cost us, because oil is pretty much run by a cartel called OPEC, right? Just a bunch of guys, a bunch of countries, they gang up together and decide to manipulate the price of oil across the world. Okay, yeah. That's all they do. So I strongly believe, I strongly believe full self-driving will definitely lead to a much safer world, which is a world we all want. We want safe. We want safe. Yeah. So, and to those who are against it, something's wrong with you. Man, you gotta go check yourself. So yeah. Anything else? You have anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, as far as being against it, I think a lot of people just don't like Elon.
That is true. That is true.
And I can understand he's pretty silly. He's a silly guy. And
that is true.
It rubs people the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
It really does.
That is true.
The problem with that is there's never a good only. There's always, whoever it is, there's always something where you got the good and you got the bad. Well, for people who don't like Elon, they don't like how he handles himself. And I understand that completely. But you've got to remove the person from the mission. And once you do that, I think you'll be okay. I think you'll be all right. Now, I'm not saying he's the greatest and he can do whatever he wants and he can't be held accountable. No, he needs to be held accountable for his missteps. However, a misstep isn't tweeting Doge to the moon or something like that. It's annoying. Let the man be annoying. But if he does something that violates certain laws, then he needs to be held accountable. But I think that his mission is so important that he will make sure he follows laws. Yeah, well, I think I'll leave it at that.
Hey, that's a really good way to end it, Robert. Hey, this has been a really good conversation. I always look forward to talking with you about this stuff because
Always.
it's just so entertaining and it's so educative. So I'll see you for the
All
next
right.
one.
All right. Thank you.
All right, take it easy.